Cut it out, Bo. Go downstairs. Go. I'll be down in a minute.
You know how it is, like starting up. It's hard as shit.
Whether they're good, bad, or ugly, getting the message out there that people aren't just like these superstars or shitbags. Like, there's a point behind everybody what they're doing. I'm a fucking moron. Mike.
What up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the show. With you today, as always, is me, Ben. Today, I have a special guest, something near dear to my heart. The Honorable Sergeant Major, Kiana Bell. She is not only she's not only an active duty sergeant major right now. She was at one point my boss and my boss's boss. She was at a very hard time in my life, ran things around me, and she was very good at her job. Ladies and gentlemen, Kiana Bell, thank you so much for coming on the show, Sergeant Major.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Just to dive in, because I think a lot of us that if anybody's listening on the show or the people that know me or know Kiana here, you kind of know her from work side. You've seen her in the uniform. You've seen her do things. She's either chewed your ass out or she's giving you life advice, right? So like
Both at the same time.
Yes, exactly. Sometimes it's a combo. And I think we know that side, but I think now we'll get to learn a little more about where she's from, what she's been through, and what got her to obviously the success she has today. She is over 20 years now, right? In the
I'm
Army?
pushing 30.
30,
I
yeah.
got 28 and some change.
Oh my gosh. It's you're a mother to two wonderful sons, and you just told me about them before. They're thriving, you know.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to hear it. So please tell me where you're from, how you grew up, what that was like and stuff, and we'll go from there.
So I will give my official introduction like I always do when I tell people where I'm from. I'm Kiana Bell. I'm from Memphis, Tennessee. Believe everything you heard. Uh, so yeah, born and raised in Memphis, Tennessee. Bounced around a lot as a kid. My dad was in the military for a period of time. Um, went to a bunch of different schools in a bunch of different states, but ended up settling back in Memphis where I was born. Uh, I think middle school was the first time that I went to one school a whole school year. So, and thankfully my formative years, I was able to do middle school at one school and high school at one school. So, and that kind of bled over into my parents and too, and we could talk about that later. Um, the oldest of six.
Oh my gosh. I didn't know it was that many. Dang.
Exactly. I have to use like my fingers now to keep up. Uh, my parents are divorced. My childhood was kind of rough. Like I said, I moved around a lot, not necessarily because of military, but because of instability in the home. Uh, yeah, I think I was born an adult, especially being the oldest of six. So I can remember as far back as 4 or 5, like taking care of siblings, um, which I think it set me up for success in the army because I was used to being in charge, I guess. Uh,
Do you
leadership
find
kind
that
of came into it.
like I've noticed that with the oldest sibling thing, because they're the firstborn, they have to grow up kind of with the parents because
Oh
they're
yeah.
learning how to parent. Do you think that's like a universal truth with like a lot of people, or do you think with not only that but the instability and having 5 other siblings, do you think like that's very to you, or
Generally, the oldest sibling, especially if they're like several behind them, they tend to grow up with their parents. I think generally. And in my situation, I think sometimes I was the parent of my parents.
Mm.
Because my mom did, she had me, year after she graduated high school. Um, and she's the youngest of 13. So, so you have this dynamic of a person who's the youngest of 13. So by the time she came along, my grandparents were pretty well established and had this parenting thing down pat. And she will tell you she didn't have to work as hard as her older sibling because there's like a 20-year age, over 20 years. My grandma had 13 kids. And so she will tell you that she didn't, a lot of the growing pains and things that a child would normally go through, she didn't experience because she was a baby.
Yeah.
A lot of life skills she didn't develop. So when she had me, it was like, what do I do? So it was growing with her. And, my next sibling beyond me is 3 years old or 3 years younger. Then they were like, so I think my situation is unique in that I basically had a double whammy, if you want to call it that. But I think that kids who are the older siblings, especially if they have quite a few, they're adults coming out of the womb. Like you're finna, and then I'm a Gen Xer, so
Yeah. What do they call that
we
though?
get
The
the
lock.
Pharaoh generation, the latchkey generation.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of dynamics that kind of shape that, I think.
Yeah.
Um,
What you said also so you get back to Memphis basically and you're finishing out high school there and stuff.
yeah.
How did that go? Was that good for you? Did you have plans get in high school? How'd that go?
So I wanted to be a writer. I wanted to be a journalist. Um, my middle school, they kind of tie together. I went to a creative and performing arts school. So think fame, at the middle school, high school level. And that's the easiest way for me to explain it to
Yeah.
people. Like, really? Think fame, right? You had to audition to get into school and all these things. And my track was creative writing because I always was fascinated with words, right? I'm a huge lover. Got into the school and was introduced to being able to take my ideas, put them on paper. And I was like, I would like to do this as a career because I enjoy writing. I enjoy reading and was on track for that. I was on the middle school newspaper staff as an editor, high school newspaper staff as an editor. But going back to the instability in my home, my brother's in the back. Can you scoot over a little bit? He's like, I'm trying to watch TV. Uh, I'm so crazy. But the back to the instability of like, okay, I have to do something to step up and help take care of these other siblings. Because my parents by this point had divorced. Um, Unfortunately, my dad wasn't really active in my life growing up. We're great now. And it was, I have to do something quick. Even though I had opportunities to play softball at collegiate level, volleyball and basketball at the collegiate level, academic, you know, all of the things lined up. Like you got the great GPA, you're active in extracurriculars, you're volunteer, all the things, but it's just that college was not um, feasible. And I wasn't being afforded, but I had these other siblings that needed. So it's like if I can help provide them stability, and that's kind of how I segued into the military. It's kind of a necessity.
Yeah. What
It's kind of how.
that had to be hard though, I imagine. You have these opportunities, but you chose obviously to take care of your siblings, which is obvious. It's the right thing to do, but
Mhm.
that's a hard decision. It's easy to be selfish at 18. Um, is That's what I'm asking, I guess. Was that a very hard decision for you, or were you going into like your senior year, getting out, knowing like that I have to do that, or was there a lot of back and forth about it?
There was the army never became an option until the end of first semester senior year. And that's when recruiters are coming into school and they're trying to get you to take the access. That was my first introduction because again, my childhood, I was young. I only knew my dad got up, he put on a uniform, he went to work, and he shined his boots. And I had friends in this state and so on and so forth. I really wasn't a part of the army culture. So it never was a thought until the recruiter came to the school and I was like, this is the way out. Um, and when I made up my mind, there was it wasn't resentment, but it was, okay, if I can do this for 4 years, by the time I do 4 years in the army, at least two more of my siblings will have graduated. And things would be a little bit better. And that just wasn't the case. And then at that point, it's like, okay, I'm resolving myself to this. And I never, even though it's like I'm doing this first contract, right? I'm already listening to the second contract. Retirement was never on the horizon. I never dreamed of sticking around 20 years. You know, some people, my goals are I'm gonna join the army. I want to make first sergeant or sergeant major, and I'm gonna retire at 20. That was never Kiana Bell. And those words never left my mind. It just so happened that last contract before death, like, well, dang, I guess
It's working.
lucky.
Yeah.
Here we go. So I don't think I had time to resent anything because things were fast paced. You know, shortly after I joined the army, I got married, then I had a baby, and I really didn't have a chance to think about my 18-year-old self until I was in my 30s. It was
All
like,
the introspective stuff starts popping up.
yeah,
You go, huh? That was a weird time. Like,
right.
yeah.
Related to that.
What about what made you number one? I guess this will be good. Number one, why active duty? And two, how the hell did you end up being Seaburn?
Okay, that's an interesting story. So I initially joined the reserve because my mom was afraid of me going to war. How can you can't go to war? You're gonna die. Like, Mom, I'm from Memphis. You worried about that? Okay, we live in the hood. Do you walk out the same apartment that I do? You know. So I joined the reserve to appease her. 2 weekend drills is all it took. I was like, this is not for me. And it was, and thankfully the ops NCO at that unit, the operations NCO, he knew, he was like, Jameson, this is not for you. This is not for you. And I knew it wasn't me. I was like, I'm going Ava. I'm just not going to the drill. What they going to do? Come find me? Cause it was just, it lacked, again, I think it ties back into me being the oldest sibling. There's a certain level of discipline and structure that I grew up that was innate to me. And that unit just lacked it. And I was like, I cannot function in this environment. I'm going to, Memphis is going to show up. And, Leander Whitaker, I'll never forget him, Sergeant First Class, he was like, Jameson, I'm going to help you. You need to go active duty. I was like, you think? And he did. And it took a lot for that unit. We've invested in you. Hey, but he did. He pulled a lot of strength. He did a lot of legwork to get me into active duty. Now, Seaburn. This is how I ended up. Back then, it was NBC. So the recruiter comes to the house. I do the pre-test. It's like, okay, you're smart. Oh, thank you. And they said, what do you want to be? And again, I said, I want to be a journalist. I knew that they had journalists in the army. And they said, well, I don't think that MOS is open. I was like, okay, what else you got? And they offered mechanic. I was like, I don't be a mechanic. All my uncle's mechanic. I can change brakes and rotors and all of those. I don't want to do that. They offered supply logistics. I was like, oh, that sounds good. And then they told me, I was like, nope, nope, I don't want to do that. What else you got? They said, well, we got this science field. I was like, oh, science, you say? And they legit, that's why I teased, I remember, I mean, it didn't, at AIT, I teased them. I was like, did they show y'all the lab coat? It was the same video with Bunsen burners and beakers. I was like, and triple beams. And I was like, huh. Because at the time, again, I was really a good student and I enjoyed science. I was actually the president of the science club. So I was like, easy. I was like, cool. I got the basic. I was like, okay, basic training. I expected this. At the AIT, I was like, what a lab coat.
There's no lab coat.
There's no lab coat.
There's no damn lab coat anywhere.
Where are my goggles? I'm expected to be, I shot a rocket off in the dang on science lab and burned a hole in the ceiling. I'm expected to be able to do this and get paid for it and not get to purple off. So that's how it ended up because they showed me the video and I was like, I like science. I'm good at science. That looks cool. I can see myself doing that. Little did I know it probably should have been a lab kit. That'd have been the closest I got to a white coat. But they didn't offer it because at the time, it was aspiring OS.
Oh, okay.
So it was like they had to fill, numbers. And that's how I ended up. And then when it came time, I was like, well, okay, I've done this for 4 years. My register window was open. It was always no outs.
It's still that way. The in out calls, it's for those that don't know, the Army, like when you come up to like get out of your job, it says whether you can get in or out. And our job, it's like always nope.
No outs.
From E1 to E9, you are staying
No
in this
outs.
MOS.
Buckle up. Settle in for the ride. And so I was like, okay, that's how it ended up. But I did get to do some interesting, cool things in the MOS that is out there, you know, uh, some cool stuff to do with MOS, but it ain't no that.
Yeah. That is the weird part about the job. There's uh there's so many interesting aspects to our field that you can do. They're out there. They're hard to find, but they're out there. And you get to do really cool shit.
There's no laptop.
There's no damn
It
laptop.
don't exist. There's not a goddamn laptop. I ain't seen one yet.
So you do reserves. You did that like barely. How was basic and AIT for you? Was that a lot of people had mixed experience, you know?
So, fun fact, and then I will get into the story. One of my drill sergeants from basic training actually worked at Misco and remembered me from my curly hair. It was just like, don't I know you, Sergeant Major? I was like, yep.
Yeah.
You weren't Bell then, were you? I was like, yep. It was there are parts that are very vivid to me of basic, but for the most part, it is keep your head down and do what you're supposed to do. And I think there are only three vivid memories that I have of basic training in AIT. The first is when this kid went AWOL. It was a long night. Okay, I didn't like softball fields anymore after that. Uh, so a kid went AWOL. Of course, they do head count and there's a person missing everybody up. Yeah, out there. And when they realize somebody's missing, battle buddy you to take care of. Like literally it's the same thing. I was strong. After um, I remember U.S. weapons because the instructor talked about the back plate on the 50 cal and the spring, and I was like, I don't want to die. I'm thinking this spring will come through and go through the cinder block wall behind. So I remember that. And I remember driving Humvee and getting it stuck between two trees. And and then they're like, how the hell, private? What were you thinking? Those are three distinct and fighting. Like I said, I'm from Memphis. I had three battle buddies. And I'm sure you heard the story. Like the first two I beat their ass, the third one beat my ass, and we're still battle buddies to this day.
Eh.
So I didn't use my words very well. But about I guess maybe 4 weeks in, I figured out, all right, you know what, Kiana, you gotta get your shit together. You ain't gonna have no money because they keep taking. And that's when I like put my nose to the ground. And that by that time we were coming out of red phase in range qualification. I was a good shot. I was like, well, shit, I'm from Tennessee. 4 years old, they put damn gun in your hand. You out there, shoot squirrel. Uh, and that's when I was like, I can do this. I can get through these days. They're yelling and screaming, but it's all to make me better. I think that's when the shift happened. And yeah, that's kind of, and the AIT was a blur. It was, I was a chem star, so I was like always in class. It was like class after class. I was like, damn, I don't want to be smart no more. I want to have KP and get some fatty cake. Like, jeez.
That's the one where they put you in extra classes, right? Or they had you do like extra teaching or
Extra
whatever.
training. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like, yeah. Oh, you have an aptitude for this. Let's make you smarter. Like, no. I want to go to sleep.
I need a nap.
I get free. I want to write a letter. I want to use the payphone.
Leave me alone.
Yeah.
What was
But
that was that at McClellan?
that was at McClellan.
Yeah. Was it all at McClellan, like basic and AIT? Or
We were OSIT
it
then.
was OSET. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
crazy. I was just talking to somebody about that, about how I brought up McClellan and they go, "What's that?" And I'm like, "There's this tiny army base down Down south. It's in Alabama, right?
It's in Alabama and it has 4 seasons in one day.
Yeah.
Lord. Uh, but yeah, it was in Ox or not Anniston, where the Anniston Army Depot is. That's where Fort McClellan. Yeah, it's adjacent to that.
Um, you get through all that and you come out and you go to reserve, but then you're like, then you go active. Going into active duty, did you have a mindset of what it was going to be like? Because a lot of the ones I just trained, they reach back because a lot of them are going active, and I don't know if that's the job. Nowadays it's different reasons, but um, they have a mentality of what it's going to be like going in, and then they get in, and sometimes it doesn't live up, and
It
sometimes
doesn't look like
no, yeah.
it. I think the vast majority of people who once they get to basic training and they're reservists and they you know what, I want to do this. There is a perception that active duty is like basic training in AIT, and it's not. And for me, that was the shock. This I what do you mean? Sit in the motor pool and take off the top. It was like I think that was the shock of it. Like, dang, I get up, I do PT, I go to my job, I go back to my barracks room. There's nobody yelling at me. There's nobody making sure I eat. I'm not in class. Like, how do I feel my time? Um, and for me, I was like, well, this is the opportunity to go to school, and that's what I did. But I don't think basic training in AIT prepares you for what to expect at your first unit of assignment. And I get that question a lot. So maybe what is it like at this base? And I explained and said it's not just different from installation to installation, it's different from unit to unit based on your mission. Whatever your mission is going to drive what your day to day looks like.
Hmm.
So all 74 deltas are not doing the same thing day in and day out. All infantrymen are not doing the same thing day and day. It's all driven by that unit and their specific mission. So I tell them kind of keep an open mind. And when you have time, fill your time with something that's going to help you to because it's gonna be
That
the opposite.
well, yeah, I mean, luckily you found that early on. I didn't. My first like 3 years are kind of a blur because I didn't really spend my time as productive as that like in my active time. Yeah, I got after it and stuff, but on the weekends or my spare time, I didn't really think to put that kind of effort in. And that's 100% better for you because you went at a time when they weren't really pushing it as hard on people. Nowadays, like you have
You
all
have
sources, all the NCOs telling you, "Hey, go do this now." Like you should be progressing. And as a private, I think a lot of us think like, "Well, this is a job. This is my job now. This is what I do and stuff." But then you go, "Well, this ain't here for me all the time, and I got to have something after this like and I can't just be like, this is my life. This is what I do and that's it." You know?
it's crazy how that culture has shifted because when I was, private Jameson going to school on the weekends, spending all day Saturday in school and, nights in class, people you a nerd. Like, why are you doing that? It was, and it was, leaders were actually discouraging it because it was not the thing. You talking about the late 90s, early 2000s. We needed people to turn wrenches to do missions. And then I have to look back in retrospect that my leaders are generations, they're the Vietnam veteran era that decided to continue service. They're the first Gulf War veterans that continue service. So it wasn't something that was pushed. It literally was go to work, do PT, pass PT test, go to work, get your job done, stay out of trouble, and party all weekend. And that really was the culture. Because barracks parties were a thing. Like you knew everybody on your floor. It was the whole thing. But me, I was like, this thing on, yeah, I can't party with y'all. I got it class. So yeah, I got teased. And then they realized like, dang, she's taller than all of us. We should probably not do that.
That's
It's
probably
crazy.
from your childhood too, you being like, like you were kind of a young adult, basically help raise kids stuff. And then you get there, you're like, this is a waste of time at that point. Like for you, like this is not worth my while. Whereas I need to,
Right. I've always been called old. Like the circles that I hung in, they thought I was much older. Like, you ain't even legal? Like, nah. I got like I got like a couple years before I can even what? Like, but like you said, it goes back to my childhood. Like, um, and thankfully, when I got in my 30s and I started doing some introspection, I didn't go, it's had a party, like you know. Um, but yeah, I think it helped keep me level headed and it kept me out of trouble. You know,
yeah. Where were you at for your first duty station?
plus Cavazos, Texas, second chemical attack,
But you started right at the bat with chem stuff.
right out the gate. And
Dang.
that's typically, um, there's an interesting point to that. My generation of soldiers, typically your female CBRN people, were in chemical units. So it was a heavy, female presence. Well, my first duty station, I was looking, but I mean, I was the only female in my platoon, for a period of time. But then, like early 2000s, there's an influx and you found you had a more female presence in their chemical units, and the males were in like your armor units and your field artillery and things like that. And they really didn't get introduced into the chemical units until they made staff sergeant because they need quality. So that'd be their first time really working with female soldiers, and that caused, some growing pains, but we made it through it. But yeah, right out of the gate, 181st PM, Double Dragon.
How was it?
I learned to be a soldier at Fort Cavazos, Texas. Let me tell you, I can dig a foxhole to standard. I can do a range card, sector sketch, you name. I can do it. I can back a dang on truck up without a dang drive. I learned to soldier because that's what we did. It was. I appreciated it when I became a first sergeant. But when I was a young soldier, I was like, we are either in the field, coming out of the field, prepping for the field, or going to somebody's CTC rotation. And that literally was life. I dug all over Fort Cabasso. I could tell you training areas right now without a map. Uh, but I learned to soldier. I learned how to be a soldier at Fort Cabasso, Texas, because that is what we did. We doggone soldier. It, you were trained.
I think it's important to, like I know the reasoning why, but I think it's awesome because my first unit was tech escort, so it was a little different, but it was still a chem unit, and I was still in basically a platoon, same thing. And you have NCOs teaching you stuff, and you're actually doing set missions, like training all the time. I get why they got to be at the companies, but like it built me to where I knew task, how to like understand how it
Yes.
all works. Like it is so good for your first duty station to do that because you hear all the stories when they go if you go just be an ops clerk or something or
Yeah.
they don't really get training. Like they don't understand how to do their actual job. They just do paperwork.
Or the tactical aspect of it. Because at
Yes.
Cabasso, you learn how to be a tactician
Yeah.
too. Yeah, I think that that's one of the things I wish there was a way that we could ensure coming out of your initial entry training that you got at least 18 months in a unit where you're actually sobering.
Hmm.
Again, that laid the foundation for me to become a first sergeant. I relied on what I did as Private Jameson as First Sergeant Bell. I understood metal task. I understood metal crosswalk. And I learned that as a private. So I think it paid huge dividends. You
What
know,
you do all that, and how was your overall experience there? Because obviously you stayed in after that time frame. How was that like overall? Like I know you said, I guess I'll die that in because you already said made you a soldier, you got strong. Obviously, there's some ups and downs there, but ultimately you did reenlist. I guess from there.
um, no, I was still on my first contract when I PCS to Johnston Island. So I re-enlist Johnston Island coming back to the States.
To where?
Okay, so Johnston Island, Johnston Atoll is where we used to do D-Mill. So basically, the tech escort mission
Yeah.
that that's the predecessor.
Damn.
Um, yeah,
That was
yeah.
cool. Like, that was one of the
2
cool
miles,
things talking about.
there's, yeah, 2 miles long and a half mile wide in the middle of the Pacific.
It's kind of scary.
Especially when the wind changes direction, you're like, uh-oh, we don't want it coming this way. I think, like you said, the experiences at Cabazos, there was ups and downs. We didn't have a lot of the protections that we have today, especially in the shark. So I experienced quite a bit of that. But I understood what the battle buddy system was about. And then that's why I always reiterated, like, your battle buddies are not just your battle buddies, go talk to a drill sergeant. These are the people that is your community that you have to build. And they're going to take care of you. And you're going to find yourself in situations, and it's the battle buddy that's going to be there for you. And then, Johnson Island, that's one of the cool gigs. That's the one place I wish I could go back to, but we shut it down. We were the last mission set. But I got to do things. There was no lab. There was a bunch of level A suits, butyl rubber suits, impregs, exposed to cover up type things. Uh, but it was a legit cool mission. You know, you couldn't have watered down range. You had to have Gatorade because it's got to be able to be smelled, tasted.
Oh
We
my,
don't know.
yeah. That I want to emphasize that. Like, there are so many cool little jobs in the Army where you get to do shit like that. Like, you're in the middle of Pacific Island. Like, who the fuck thought someone from Memphis, Tennessee, growing up the way you did, and then you end up there, you're like, that
This is right.
you can't write this kind of shit. Like,
You cannot write it.
yeah.
You cannot write it. And it's like the coolest shit ever. I actually worked with live chemical weapons
Yeah.
every day.
Yeah.
I might have, got exposed the time or two, but yeah, that was cool time. And from there, I was supposed to do a cot to Alaska. That didn't happen. My stuff actually made it to Alaska.
Oh my gosh.
Two things happened. So I went on. The other cool thing about Johnston Island that King Kamehameha, like this stuff goes back to the 1800s, where they set aside a fund and they paid for soldiers to go home. So I didn't have to pay for my ticket to fly for my mentor leave or whatever.
Cool.
So I come back and I'm getting ready to do this cot. My husband's supposed to meet me in Alaska. This chick who shall remain nameless told the first sergeant while I was on leave that, yeah, I talked to Bell and she said she want to go back to Texas. So I am back on Johnson Island. I'm on Johnson Island, like, woo, got my little award and everything. And you had to travel everywhere in B's back then. And they come to the plane. Bell, let me see them orders. I was like, yeah, see? They was like, nah.
Here's your new ones.
I was like, what? Yeah, quit playing. I thought it was a joke. I was like, oh, bullshit. I had just got promoted to sergeant too. I was like, oh, y'all bullshit. I was like, no, for real. You talk about somebody salty.
Oh my gosh.
I said, my shit is in a left. Where is it clearing for the vessel right now? What the fuck? I got back. It was so crazy. I got back before hood, and I wasn't on anybody's game roster. Free ticket. And my old first sergeant from when I left found out he carried a replacement and put me in his car.
You're coming with me.
You're coming with me. I was like, no. It was just like that. I was like, ain't this some shit? Damn, Bill, you back? The guy
Oh,
ended up right back in the same damn unit.
that's truly like a soldier's worst nightmare. It's right on the plane. Yeah, you want Alaska? Oh, we thought you said cavazos. We thought you said
Aw, not bad.
you're
It
gonna love
sounds the
it.
same. Now you talking about somebody. I was salty. I was pissed the whole second time I was there. Text. I don't ask me the shit. We're going to qualify. I don't care. Like I don't care if you.
I'm not doing shit.
I
I'm
ain't
supposed to
doing
be loud.
nothing. Yeah, I'm supposed to be in skis right now. Feel I ain't.
Polar bears and shit.
I was like not a happy person. Then so I was like, okay, I'm here. I'm an NCO now. Let me get my shit together. And I was trying to go to dang on BNOG at the time. I was like, well, okay. And the sergeant major at the time was like, I control your career. Girl, I'm from Memphis. Leave everything there. So I was like, and I didn't get this wasn't a great sergeant major at the time. And I was just like, I cannot be, I will not be confined to this. I'm too headstrong. I was like, everybody got a boss. I learned that early in my career. Let me go over to G1.
Oh man. Oh no.
I went to G1 like, hey, my name is Sarah Bell. I'm back in the same because I didn't see a career progression. Like, you put me right back. Talk to Star Major. I won't say what their name is. And I had a 4187 when I walked out. I went back there for what? Like, I got to report this unit tomorrow.
Hey, that's the ditch. Here you go.
And we were in the field.
Oh yes.
I was like, I'll finish the field problem. But I got to report to this unit next week. No, they wait on me. I gotta go. And I ended up going to a different unit and got the Seaburn cage side of the house. Um, and then cause 9/11 hit, I get a call on a Sunday. They said, "Hey, you AWOL?" Who you mean I'm AWOL? So I called my company. Hey, sir, somebody from this random unit on Fort Cavazos called me. Like I'm AWOL. It's like, Bill, what are you talking about? I said, exactly. Monday, he called me in his office. Hey, Bill, so you got reassigned to who? That unit down there, they deploying. I went to that unit on Monday. I deployed on Thursday, and I
Damn.
just had a baby. I was like,
Oh my gosh.
I got a dang on baby. I'm still nursing. What are you talking about?
This was back
Bruh,
when it was like, because that was like you only had like what, a month or two or
you had 6 weeks.
6 weeks,
Your
and then you're
profile
back
was
to
six
work.
weeks, and you back at work, and you
Yeah,
better fit in the uniform.
and you better pass PT test.
You better. It was no, and like legit. I went to that unit on, got a call Sunday, went to that unit Monday. On Thursday, I deployed
Man,
and was not scheduled. My husband was scheduled for, we knew he was going to be deploying. So we were like, okay, cool. I still had plastic on my furniture in my house. Like the carpet still had the fuzzies.
that that goes back to like what we talked about with resources too, because it's like nowadays that would obviously never happen. It just
Right.
like they would take care of that. Back then it was like it was just knee jerk reaction. Like we have a deployment, nothing else matters. Go. Which
Nothing else matters.
I get to a point, but like you just had a baby. Like what? How great? Like and how great are you going to be on a deployment with like thinking about a newborn at the house? Like it's just crazy to me like
It
that.
was wild. And the fact that my husband deployed the day after me, I was like,
Oh my
so my
lord.
family care plan had it was tight. I was thankful I had really good providers. So I wasn't worried about the kids so much, but I was worried about sitting on that dang on long plane ride. And I got like pain because I'm still nursing. So I'm like, um, but yeah, that's how that first deployment went.
Damn. How would you Iraq or
All
Afghanistan?
right.
Okay. How what
Mhm.
how was that for you? That's early on during when it
That
was
was like the very beginning.
yeah.
So I would tell you, we got there March. We pushed north the end of March, beginning of April. Wasn't too much popping off, you know. And the president came out and said the end of major conflict, and I don't know why they aired that on television because the next day chaos, and it was that way for 15 months.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, And the crazy thing, everybody, when you went, you knew it was a year. I was one of the unlucky groups that as we were pushing down south to go back through Kuwait to, ship out, they stopped us and turned us around. I was like, who's playing these games? Why? And we ended up doing an additional 90 days. I didn't see my son until he turned 2.
Damn.
So it was like, this is crazy.
The Army has a really good way of stopping you on planes and saying, hey.
Turn that one around. Hey, bring it back here. Was there like a ground guide in the sky? But yeah, so that was the 15-monther. Got back, finally went to which is ALC now. 2 weeks from graduation. We used to get purse grants. I get a purse grant, say I got to be at Fort Bragg. I said, y'all do know I ain't jumped out now by this plane. I'm a, I am heavy. Fort Hood, Phantom Corps, Funky Boxer. Like I can drive a tank. Okay. They're like, nah, you go. I was like, I call, Brent's like, hey, what's this guy? Sorry, man. Yeah, I got this first girl from Fort Bragg. I'm not airborne qualified. Yeah, you will be. I didn't ask for this. They was like, no, your husband's going. So of course, excuse me, sir. Please explain why you medics are going to Fort Bragg, North Carolina. Oh, he reclassed because he left country early. He reclassed, and that's how I ended up at Bragg. Spent a lot of my career.
Mm.
And as soon as I got there, they was like, "Oh, your Metro's in green. Don't unpack your bags." I just looked.
God dang.
So literally, '03 to '04, '05 to '06, was getting ready to go back in '07 to '08. Came down on drill order.
This
That was the
is
elevator station.
this is so fun. It's so fun to see the roller coaster. Gee.
And I did get to drill sergeant school. Right as I was getting ready to go, I got hit by a drunk driver.
Oh my gosh.
And so they delayed it. Like, okay, we're gonna push your school date. And by the time I was cleared to go to drill sergeant school, was actually en route. They were like, no, you're gonna be an ASC. And that's how that happened. That was my first trip at Fort Hood.
Real quick, I just want to circle back. So uh you do the Cavazos deployment and then the 82nd deployment. And then was there more than one with 82nd or was it
I was getting ready to go the second time.
okay?
But that's when the drill orders and then
Oh,
cars.
all of that though, there's a lot of turmoil there, and then and then you got to go into the drill, and then eventually AIT platoon sergeant and change your family life. How'd that go for you? Because I know personally, me, like a lot of the people around us, that is trying times. Like that is a ship in troubled waters. It's very hard to navigate. How did that go for you?
I'll tell you how troubled the water was. They deployed my husband when they moved me to Fort Lift.
Oh my god.
So I had PCS with the 2 kids by myself. He was deployed. In the wintertime, in the
Oh,
middle of a
in
blizzard.
the Letterwood. Oh my gosh. No. No.
I was like, the heavens definitely have turned their back on me. Maybe I should have went to CG was a major shit. Uh, it was honestly, I think, and I've been, and you've known me long enough to know this. I am very cool and calm under pressure. It was like, here's the reality. I got to make it work. So I didn't have time to really take in the chaos, the dysfunction, all of the things that were because I was like, I got 2 kids, I gotta keep stable, I got a job to do. I gotta make this work. So it never was this I didn't spiral. It was what can I do to put safeguards in place? What do I need to do? First I gotta find my tribe. So I was like in my community, who else? It was building community all over again. My mother-in-law was fortunate, able to come for a period of time to assist me until I got settled into a routine. And my kid, my oldest son, it was like he had to be the adult. We kind of defaulted to him, on that. But that time was, I won't say it was a blur, but it went by quickly.
Hmm.
Because at the time I was doing it, we had 24 cycles a year. So I had 4 cycles a year that I had 6, 12, 18, and 24. And you know the job. They ain't no cycle break.
No, it's easy. It's easy. You're not a drill sergeant, so
That's what they say.
it's yeah. That's
That's
what everyone says. It's you're not a drill sergeant. It's easy.
and the thing is, we had my group had a chip on our shoulders because all of it, because they had actually taken drill sergeants from BCT and moved them over, so they were still getting paid. I was like, we doing the same work, if not more, and I don't get paid. I don't get something to distinguish me. I'm just a regular old Joe. Like, so we had chips, so it was like we had something to prove. And it was that mentality, like, I got something to prove. I'm gonna put the best soldiers in the army. You will, I promise you, if they came to Dango Bravo come to 84th Chemical Battalion, they know they shit. Because we will not let them pass, we will not pass anybody off because it's like we got something to prove. Because we were like, kind of written off. Y'all not drill something. Okay, that means I can come to work, I can go to PT like in a regular unit, 6:30 to 7:30, show up at 9, get an hour and a half of lunch, and be out of here by 17:30, 1800 max. No,
No.
4:30 a.m.
Yeah,
200.
I know the hours well. It's it's not that. It's
It is not
4:30
that
to like
at all.
8, 9, sometimes even later.
Yes. And you got dude, and as a female, a female had to be on duty all the time. So I had duty all the
Oh
time.
yeah.
And it was, um, like, okay, you put me in this, it's for me, it's like when you put me into a corner, I'm going to show you just how good I can be. And that's kind of what my mentality was. And it's gonna sound jacked up. I think statute of limitations was expired. But I did in making the strongest soldiers, because you remember back then you used to have the army physical fitness. So we were like, that's our goal. We're going to have most army physical fitness badges. We're gonna have the highest test scores. We're gonna have like it was like so it's you painted me in this corner, I'm gonna show you just how good I can be. And we went from having a cycle with 2 to the average was 40.
Damn.
That was the average for 3 years, 40 for my platoon of 60 people.
That's awesome though. That's
The same
crazy.
with tests like first time go certification I was like, we are going to be the best. You will walk out of here into your first unit of assignment and say with confidence that you're the best. You're the best 74 new 74 Delta in the army. And that was kind of the mentality. And I was able to stay in shape because I was trying to prove a point. But I ain't like that. You already know.
Yeah, yeah,
Caffeinated.
yeah.
But yeah, that's what that experience was like. And then I left there, went back to Bragg and deployed right after.
Oh my gosh! Come on,
It
come
was
on!
just like, welcome.
You're playing games with me. You're-
Can I delay this 90? Give me 90 days, please. 90 days. I just 90 days. You've been taking a knee. A knee? Who lied to you? Don't work a trade on. Tell me what kind of knee you take. I'd rather be deployed.
Yes, yes.
But yeah, that's how it went. It was fast.
It's so interesting how it's like for me too, and the other guys I talk to and stuff. That time frame in everyone's career, whether you're a drill or whatever, mainly TRADOC. If you do it, it's fast. It goes by really fast, but it's so vivid. It's like so crazy how you remember.
Yeah, story.
Yeah. Well, the stories are just nuts, but it's like I guess that's it. The stories like keep you so but I mean everybody does that. They go, "Yeah, that was just the craziest time of my life ever." And I remember every minute of it.
Every minute. And
Yeah.
nothing was, it felt like it was a complete disconnect from what I had been accustomed to as a soldier and a leader. Like, I know what the training schedule says. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna go. We had audibles 1,000 times. It's like I don't even. Why are we even in this meeting? We're gonna walk out. It's gonna be something totally different. Like, hey, Bill, can you work on Sunday? I got duty Saturday. What are you talking about? And then I got I got medevac.
Medevac.
So 2010. So it's my second year. We had like a slew, unfortunately, a lot of trainees dying from overdoses, dying to where they stood down, they stopped training completely. It was like COVID. Stopped training completely. We stripped everything out of the barracks, disinfected everything. It was like because these kids are like dying, and put everything back in. Maybe a couple of weeks after we did that, it was a Saturday. I'll never forget. I came in, I did PT with my platoon, was signing them out on pads, doing some administrative stuff, all of that. And I had like this headache. I had duty on Sunday and I had a headache and my neck was like stiff. And I was like, man, I must have slept bad. Thinking nothing of it.
Yeah.
So, I finished my day. I go home. I'm at home and at night, I told my husband, I said, you gotta take me to the hospital. I am in so much pain and I don't know why. It hurt for clothes to touch my skin.
Mm-hmm.
So he takes me to the emergency room and he worked at the hospital, so that was a perk. Because they're like, oh, Bill, yeah, we'll get your wife right back. And they couldn't figure out what was wrong. So they gave me like some naproxen, and sent me home. I called the first hour. I was like, first time, I'm going to have to get somebody to cover my duty because I don't feel good. I didn't make it to the next morning. I was back in the emergency room. And they were like, okay, this is not good. They tried to get spinal fluid. They couldn't try spinal tap. They was like, we're going to give you we're going to give you an antibiotic and send you home. So Sunday, all Sunday, I'm like dying. Monday morning, I am back in the emergency room.
Jeez.
And at this point, it happened to be a doctor. She had been on call that weekend and she had remembered seeing me. So, like, you've been here a lot. She said, let me examine the patient. So she comes, she examines me. The next thing she walks out, I said, get a medevac. And
We're
I was
at the
like, did I hear
hospital.
that right? Get a who? And she's like, you got to be medevac out of here. They quarantined me. Bird came, pushing morphine, all that stuff to get me there. I had 13 sticks to get through it. And they were like, yep, meningitis. I was in the hospital for 7 days.
Damn.
And she said, had you not come back, you wouldn't have survived.
That is nuts. I didn't know meningitis was that like crazy. That's
Bacterial meningitis will kill you.
yeah. Gosh. At least you made it
You go
through.
die.
At least they
And then, I was like, I'm a trooper. I'm too mean to die, I guess. I don't know.
what see that's what I'm talking about. It's so vivid. But because the problem is too, you're so in the trenches, you're thinking, I gotta get back to work. I gotta do shit, And it's like in retrospect, then you're like, what the fuck was I thinking?
What was I thinking?
I gotta get not die.
Not die.
Yeah, that's the goal
That
here.
should have been the priority. Clearly, it wasn't even on the list.
What?
Shit.
So you go after all that, you go back to Bragg, or you said you went back to Bragg, and in 90 days deployment again, or not even 90 days.
They gave me the 90. They were
You said
gracious,
90. Okay, great.
but I had to like threaten to go BA. Like, I listen, I'm about to not be right because I got PTSD. I'm controlling it very well, but y'all about to step
I'm
on
gonna
something.
lose it. Yeah.
So, but yeah, they gave me 90 days, and then I was already.
So who's this with? When you're deploying, are you supporting a arms battalion, or is it sustainment, or what do you got going
It
on?
was sustainment. So the last one was sustainment. So I got back. I was in TSC. So it was sustainment. They were doing the retrograde mission. So I had stuff all over, you know, the place. So I had a lot of countries out.
But it's
And it was only because I was in the G3 at the time. So I'm in the G stack.
okay. You're a 7 at
So
this point, or a 6 still?
I'm a 7
Okay.
and found out I became promotable on that deployment.
Okay. Jeez.
Yeah. So I'm like, oh, cool. Now you can do it. I was like, hold on. You did too much. You got too much dip on your chair. Wait a minute. Uh, so that was a reward. It was a lot of work. That I because we had ESCs, reserve ESCs supporting us. We were the only active duty portion of it, so it was a lot of work coordinating those units coming in, going out. And I know in the G staff forward, it was only me, a Sergeant E5, and two O5 lieutenant colonels who were active duty. The rest of the staff in the section 357 was all of them.
Okay.
So that was a bit of a challenge because I'm leading master sergeant. And I'm sorry for class. It's not their fault. It's the nature of the type of organization we were and how we were supported. So yeah,
Yeah.
and got extended on that one too.
Oh my gosh. Well,
Because
that's
my replacement didn't come, and I was like,
oh. And then you hate that person. You don't know who they are, but you're
yeah,
like,
I was
you
just like,
why?
what you mean? I guess they was turning me back for that 90-day defer. Like, we're gonna tag it on. You gonna get this 90 days. You gonna get all of this.
Man.
But, yeah.
You get through all this. you're at 2012. So you're already at like about 15 years time, I guess,
That's
since you joined.
14 and a half, 15 years. Yeah.
Yeah. So you done that. Did you have your two kids at that point or just one? You just had one at that point.
I had both
You
of
had
them.
both. Okay.
Yeah. I had my first one when I was a specialist, and I had the second one when I was a staff.
So you got all that going, and your husband is still in the army at this time. You're going through all that, and you get there. Are you still in that mode of I don't really have time to process all this? We got to keep this train moving, or did some of it start to say, oh, it was just like that? You just keep on trucking.
Yep. It was a freight train until I took my second company as a first sergeant. Actually, when I was coming out of the seat in my second company, I had made the list for the academy in my 18th year, 18th or 19th year, somewhere in there. And I came out of the seat as a first sergeant and went to be the ops sergeant for the battalion. And that's when, like, I was able to sit and process.
Yeah, because as the ops sergeant, I guess while you are busy and there's a lot of shit going on, you do have more time available, and you're able to sit there and kind of
And
think.
I had the I had three surface classes, four captains, some stowage and so it was a lot. The work was
Disseminate.
evenly disseminated. I was basically managing personnel and tasks and things like that. So that's when it really like, man, I had to think about it. I'm gonna go to some maybe camp. Oh, baby. Then I realized I was a baby. Oh, baby. Hey, girl, you 35, 36 years old.
I'm a baby. I shut up.
Oh, baby. Baby, I'm lying. I'm not ready.
When you get, you make master sergeant, and then I guess you left Bragg, right? Or did you stay there?
So when I made Master Sergeant, I came back from deployment, got frocked to First Sergeant to the 101st Camp. Took that company for a year, deactivated it, and then went to Stewart for 51st and did 2 years there in that company. Um, so even though I was stationed at Bragg, the second time I may have been on Bragg a total of 15 months
Yeah. Oh, 15 months.
with that company because I had
Either
that
way, though,
company
you were technically there for 3 years, right?
right, but I physically was on the ground
Yeah.
for 15 months.
Damn. Was that an okay experience, or was that kind of rough too? Or
So I like Fort Bragg. A lot of people don't. I like it. That's where I learned to be a leader. Remember, I learned to be a soldier at Fort Vasco. I learned to be a leader at Fort Bragg. Um, then that time I came back from deployment, like literally 18 days after coming back from deployment, I was taking a company. and that company was in some turmoil. The first sergeant got fired. It was a lot. And I figured this out in my career that I'm a problem solver. I'm a fixer. So anytime I come down on the sign, it's like, oh, I gotta go fix it. Right. I've accepted that. So I take the company, and like 2 weeks after I take the company, the sergeant maybe tells me, yeah, we're deactivating, but you have the Olympic mission. You have this JSOC mission. You have, it's like,
Dang.
y'all don't want to like take that from us. Like, no, no, you're still going to do these and deactivate everything.
I don't get where they think that works. Like like there's shit
Because
you have to do to deactivate.
literally we held the final formation of that company and furled the guide on August 14th. I walked away from that formation to the Soldier Support Center on Fort Bragg, got my dragon stamp, got in my car, and drove to Fort Stewart. That's literally how it happened.
Jeez.
Like, I'm here.
Your PCSs are unhinged. They're
They
just
are
like
completely unhinged. Like I said, this is the first time like I've had a PCF. I was like, huh, I got time to go harass my kids. But that is literally how that happened. I'll never forget that day right there on right field behind Dawn Clinton. August 14th. I was like, all right, I got to go.
hi.
High five. And yeah, that's how that happened.
uh, after that, you go to Stewart. I myself have never been on the East Coast. I hear things. Everybody hears things. Yeah, never had to go yet. Two things in my
Shit.
career. Never had to do any of the NTC, JRTC rotations ever, and I've never
Uh,
had to go to the East Coast for anything. So, well, except for Jackson, I guess, but that doesn't count. Um, yeah. So how, you hear all about Bragg, but Stewart is kind of not spoken about as much. I hear great things.
it's small.
Is it good or is it?
So I lived in Savannah. I didn't mind the commute because at the time, this is my second company as a first sergeant.
It's
It's
like
a
an hour
45
commute.
minutes to an hour drive, right? And I was going the opposite of traffic every day. So I would use the hour in the morning going to PT to get myself together, thought together what I'm going to do, model my day. And then in the evenings, I was decompressing. So when I got home, I was not first sergeant. Yeah, I was piano walking in the door. So it worked out. But for Stewart, it was hot and swampy. We had an alligator retention pond. You have alligators in the training area. When it rains, so all of the rain, because Georgia is that part of Georgia is a swamp. It like legit is a swamp. It will flood. So you would be out at Land Ave in needing water. Finding points. Um, but we trained. It was another place that we went that is what we did. We trained. So that time went quickly. And I enjoyed Georgia. I did. I didn't like the heat and the hurricane. Aside from that,
Alligators, hurricanes.
alligators, it was
Cool.
nature. It was a good time because again that's what we did. We trained. So I enjoyed it.
Side note: one of your favorite soldiers, Warrant Officer Candidate Jones, he's down there, and he sent me
Oh, Alex!
a he sent me a picture of or as a video that storm you're talking about, like those. His house was like it looked like a river running in front of his yard, and he had to put sandbags up so it wouldn't come in his house. I mean, it's
That is exactly what,
rain there.
yes. And the flooding would happen with the rain and then after the water really got high because all of the water, you got to think the Atlantic Ocean is there. So the water's all running downhill. Guess what's right there? It's a good place to bang on, just settle in. So yeah, it was, other than that, I appreciated my time there.
Yeah.
I did.
Would you so what happens after that? You do your time as a first sergeant, that's a very pivotal role in most people's career, Um
That was a hard first time.
yeah.
There are three major stories that happened within 90 days again of me becoming the first one. The very first one, I took the company in October, November, Veterans Day weekend, two soldiers down in motor pool, slaving off a truck to move it. Right? They did all of the right things. And the park brake was engaged. It was in idle. The chop block was down. They did all of the things. And as they're connecting, uh, the trucks,
Yeah.
the other one is like walking to the other vehicle, and it's between a trailer tow panel and the truck. Truck engages, goes in the gear, and pins him
Oh
between the
no.
front of the truck and the tow panel of the trailer. This is less than a month in. And of course, they call, we get down there, we can't move him. We got an air flight, you get a helicopter in, clear space. Because we're like, as soon as we had to get his wife there, 'cause like, once we move this, it's a very high possibility he's not going to survive.
Yeah. Because it acts like
And
a
she,
tourniquet, right? It holds everything
right,
in. Yeah.
exactly. And she found out she was pregnant that day. It was like it's like, you cannot write this. You can't script this. Garrett Frick was his name. He survived. And he was one of the best soldiers that I'd ever met. Like I was like, if I get a platoon of Fricks, I'll be great. And that incident happened. He survived it, but that was November, that weekend for Veterans Day weekend. December, I'm sitting at home. I get a call from the trauma hospital in Savannah, and they ask me, is this first armed bill? I said, yeah. Well, you need to get to the hospital. I'm like, what's going on? They tell me the kid's name. Uh, Matter of fact, he was at Fort. He was an instructor at Fort Leonard when you were there. That's on Alas,
What was his name?
Alas, Alas,
Oh, okay.
Jared Alas. He They said, you have the shoulder. I had not met him. Keep in mind, I haven't been a first sergeant there for about 45 days. He was borrowed manpower. So
Okay.
he had not been in my formation. He was on my 162, but I had not
Yeah,
physically
yeah.
laid out.
Seen him, yeah.
And so I'm pulling out a 162, like, I don't, something familiar. And I look, I said, yeah, okay, yeah, that's my sergeant. So you need to get to the hospital. So I'm thinking something has happened to him. I get there, it's his wife. She went in for a routine surgery. She didn't wake up.
Oh my
They
lord.
had a 1-year old that had just had surgery for brainstem, something called Chiari syndrome. She had the same thing. They didn't know she had it. So once she came out of surgery and they put her in recovery, they didn't put her in the proper position. So it caused brain injury. And so I go in, I'm meeting this guy under these circumstances. I happened when they told me I had a soldier, that's why I called the chaplain. He was like, Chap, can you meet me at the hospital? We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
We get there and they basically tell us like she's not going to make it. She's essentially brain dead. So I called my battalion leadership. I called my doc. It's like, hey, can you come and I need you to translate these things that they're saying in the medical world to get this. We managed to get her brother and her mom down from Massachusetts. And we were making funeral arrangements for this lady. And they bring the 10-year-old son in, and he's like, this is what broke my heart. He was bargaining with God. Because like, if you let my mommy live, I'll make sure I clean my room. I won't. I'll do all my. I'll do. And I'm like, and he brings like this stuffed animal. I'll never forget. It was a stuffed wolf, and the wolf's name was Loba. And he's like, "Mommy, I brought you this." And I'm watching this happen, knowing very well that this kid in about an hour is gonna take his wife off life support. So he's like, "I need some fresh air." So I go outside and I sit with him, and he just falls into my arms like he's one of my kids and he cries. And that's why I always say sometimes your soldiers don't need a leader, they need a human being. And we sat there and we talked about it, you know, and we walked back in and we said a prayer and just finished as well.
And she woke up? Oh my gosh.
He died.
God dang.
And that's the first time I've ever seen anybody die in the hospital that's on. It's a whole process.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a whole nother thing. Then right after that, so this is December. New Year's Eve, I get a call from Major Ratchford, the three at he was one of my PLs at the time. And he called me like, first time, I just rolled up on an accident and it's bad. And I was like, sir, where are you? And he told me, he was like, I'm on 44. He said, I think it's a soldier from our sister company, 92nd, but I can't tell. I was like, okay, where are they taking them? He said, they're going to life flight them out to Memorial, the same hospital. And so then I said, I'll meet them there. And start, trying to get information and whatever. And the kid was in PLC. Him and his battle boy, they were on the way back from Savannah. They had not been drinking. They fell asleep at the wheel. Flipped the car into a ditch, and it happened to have rain, so now it's flooded.
Mm-hmm.
And he broke his back, paralyzed from the neck down, from the chest down. And this all happened in less than 90 days.
Yeah.
And once I got there, I found it was my surgeon. So I called, First Star 92nd, like, hey, I'm here at the hospital. You got two soldiers here. I'll stay here and contact, the chaplain, all of the things that I just went through to get that set for you so that when you get here, I can do a warm handoff. So yeah, that was the first. That was my introduction to Force Steward.
That's a lot of shit for 90 days. Gosh.
I'm telling you, I wanted to quit.
Yeah, I mean, who wouldn't? Who wouldn't want to stop?
Maybe this is a sign. But yeah, after that, they did my 60 okay.
It's so hard to deal with the tough parts where it's like it's unbelievable to a point like that, like the way you just told me those stories. Like, not a lot of people are dealing with one of those instances in their lifetime, and you're dealing with three of those in 90 days. Like, how do you find ways to get through that kind of shit?
You have to. Like, if there is a time in your life that you absolutely have to step up and be a leader, it's in crisis. And that's going to test your mettle as a person and as a leader in crisis. Are you productive in crisis? And I had enough crisis situations to that point to where it was a mental check. If this, then this. If it was like a flow chart in my brain.
Yeah.
And recognizing that after you get the crisis under control, then you can let it sink in and process it. But in the moment that it's happening, is not the time to process it because you have to act. You have lives in your hands that you're responsible for. You have to absolutely act. And going through that made me think back to like, because I'm a big World War II history buff. I'm fascinated with the leadership and how, that, and you think back to the Hal Moores and all that, you're like, dang, this is what they were doing, right? So you draw on that, like, the lessons that they learned, the stories that you hear. How can I incorporate that in this moment into my, not only just this moment, but my day-to-day leadership? Um, so that when crisis happens, there is a cool head that you can properly advise your community. So it's almost like a battle drill. It really is a battle drill. And then afterwards, just like you AAR it, you process it. That's your AAR is how it's, and fortunately, I'm very good at compartmentalizing, separating the emotion from the need to act. Sometimes I'm too good at it that it like, hmm, it didn't come off very thin. So I had to practice the, I'm a compassionate person, but I'm compassionate in action. I wasn't a person that used words.
Mm-hmm.
So this is broken. Okay, I can fix that. But you don't need me to fix it. You need my words. And that took some practice, and some crisis to get to that.
Yeah, I because I think that's what I was going after, because like same here, like if bad stuff happens, it's okay, I gotta do this, I gotta do this, I gotta do this, and there's really no time for like massive emotion in those moments because you gotta get shit done. I guess that's a thing the Army teaches really well, which is probably not healthy, but the compartment,
Not really.
I'm really also really good at compartmentalizing, but I always wonder if it's like a lot. I don't know if you've gone through this, but when you compartmentalize that box up here, it like it gets overstuffed
Oh
like a
yeah,
certain point, and then that's bound to break at certain points, and then you have your own shit you're going through, and then you're like,
right.
what's how do I get around this to where it's not overwhelming me as much in my off time? Because it seems like
Therapist.
when you're busy as shit, you're fine.
Good.
I can keep
I'm
going
on
with
autopilot.
this,
I could do this in my sleep.
but you get time to think on your thoughts, you get time to like reflect on it, and then you go, like I don't know how I'm doing all this. I don't really know what everything's
Yeah,
about.
you fall apart. You realize that you've been holding yourself together with duct tape, chewing gum, and 554. And you've been patching up spots that you probably should have just fixed. But it goes back to that you have to feel the feelings. You have to feel the thing. I am a firm believer you got to feel to heal. When I started allowing myself to feel the emotion after the crisis is settled, I had to come up with a way to not get sink into depression because it was depression. It was through gratitude. It was like how this thing happened, but I'm grateful for this. It was finding something to counter that that counterproductive emotion, that negative emotion. Uh, just using the situation with the three incidents in less than 90 days. The first one prepared me for the second one, prepared me for the third one. So there's gratitude there that I was able to respond faster, get the resources quicker, give the better answers and better advice to my commander because of the experience that I had. So I'm grateful for the experience and the lessons learned, even though they were harsh lessons to do. And it was through expressing gratitude, and I made that a part of my daily practice. Like every day, I write down before I go to bed things that I'm grateful for. And I used to be able to only get one line. And then I started filling up, a paragraph. And then it's just like pages of things that like, wow, I do have a lot to be grateful for. And for me, that's how I kind of processed it. I went to therapy. I'm a huge advocate, go see the people. Because it wasn't just like you said, it wasn't just my professional life. I had a personal life that was strained, balancing all of these things, including being a mom and a wife and, a productive member of society. And realizing that everybody has a termination date in this uniform. How can I best I need to start setting myself up for after that termination date in this uniform because life is going to continue beyond that, you know. And it's been years of practice in, and learning to flow and learning to accept, okay, I couldn't control this negative thing that happened, but what do I control in this? And that's my action to the negative thing. And then highlighting the positive stuff. Like when good shit happens, you know, acknowledge it. Because a lot of times, as it's human nature to tend to focus on the negative, we don't applaud ourselves when we're doing something good or when good things happen. We kind of get negative, like, this good thing has happened, that means something bad happened. So it's reprogramming your mind, um, and it pays off not just in your career, but in your personal relationships. I don't get mad at the way people drive anymore. It's like, I don't know what they left when they left home. I don't know what, they're going home to. I don't, so I'm gonna give them some grace and then extending that same grace to myself when I screw up. Um, and that's kind of how, like I said, my 30s, that turning point, that was my turning point when I finished my second company. Like I had been rolling hard for a long time. Who is Kiana? Got back to writing, which was my first passion. So that's the advice I give anybody. Like you have to allow yourself to. It's hard. For 6 months when I was in the DMV the first time, I went to therapy 5 days a week. I had a speech therapist, a vision therapist, a sleep therapist, a occupational therapist, because my parasympathetic nervous system was literally broken. I lost my vision. I couldn't remember crap from all of the dang on concussions and TBIs. It was like I realized that I had the duct tape chewing gum, the 550 quote was just not doing it anymore. And so for 6 months, that was my place to be, 5 days a week. I was in a therapy somewhere. I have severe sleep insomnia. If I don't take medication, I'll be up 3, 4 days straight. Um, but it was learning like you cannot, you're going to die if you don't fix this. Like literally, your heart is gonna stop beating, you're gonna die. And I was like, well, I got more to live for, so I gotta make some changes. I have to be intentional about how I pivot while still maintaining the ability to be a great leader.
Yeah. And yeah. And I guess we'll get to that point. But that was a very good explanation of like how to like get through that and stuff. I just wanted to hear your opinion on that. That's good. Um, you get I'll go back on track. You get done with your first sergeant assignment, and then you said you took a second one. Where was the second one down?
That was at Stewart.
It,
Hmm.
oh, because it was the
Oh,
front.
I didn't take it. That was sent me.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't.
No,
I was expecting to bring that. They
telling
sent
me
me.
where. And then did you go? Where'd you go after that one?
I was supposed to go to the academy, but I ended up being selected for NARES, and I went to the Pentagon. Did 3.5 years there.
You did 3.5 years at the Pentagon. Oh my gosh! Even with you said obviously you said for that 6 month time frame, you were working on yourself for a bit, but 3 years you're working at the
And going to the
highest
academy.
at the highest. Well, what's that like? That's a whole crazy ordeal, you know?
It's a it's a was a steep learning curve. Because that environment is totally different than any practical environment you'll ever be in. Um, but you figure out, here's my area of expertise. How do I incorporate that into this mission set? And even if it's not your area of expertise, well, this is gonna be your area of expertise. You better get smart on it because this is what you got coming up and you're gonna do. So it was a very steep learning curve. Um, and I interacted with agencies that I didn't know existed.
You say that one more time.
I interacted with agencies that I didn't know existed.
Oh dang.
If that 3.5 years is more of a blur because of like literally I was in a job. There's no amount of training that I could have ever gotten as a 7-4 Delta that would prepare me for that job.
Right.
You're talking policy, you're talking charters, you're talking inspection, you're talking things like this ain't not one PME that I ever attended. I don't recall this lesson nowhere. So it's literally picking up the phone and making connections. Hi, this is Sergeant Bell from, Pentagon Force Protection Agency. I am the senior enlisted advisor for the agency and also the Sea Run Star Major. This is the problem that I have. Can you point me in the right direction? And that's really how I was able to get what this is, and then it was, they didn't really know what they wanted me to do. They looked at my work and was like, oh, you're MRT, you're level 2. We want you to stand up a program for this whole agency. MRT,
What?
okay. And it took off, it was a success. I was like, oh, yeah. But why are you doing that? What you do? Uh, so it was, I had a lot of hats. It was like, like a baseball cap with like 4 bills. Who do you need today? And it literally was like a rotating hat. Um, and day to day was always different. There was no 2 days were the same in that 3.5 years. No 2 days were the same. Um, But while I was there, I had time on my hands, and so I was like, you know me, I'm a nurse. Um, it really started with the program that I was running. I was like, we need, because there was a lot of tech escort stuff, and I was like, we can't wait for med monitoring from an outside agency. We need to be able to do it ourselves. And how we're able to do it ourselves is if we get a third of our team at a minimum EMT qualified. So now we can control all of the assets for us to be able to respond to the mission that we have. They bought off on it. And so all my green suiters and me and like a third of the civilians, became EMTs. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm EMT now. I am licensed. I am nationally registered. What can I do in my community? So I dang on joined the volunteer fire department and became the deputy fire chief. And then worked in public health during COVID because they were looking for volunteers. I was like, well, we ain't got nothing to do, so
Sign me up. I'll do
sign
it.
me up.
Whatever.
Let me come up in here and do it. And that's literally what happened. So it's like, okay, for me, it's always like, what can I do with this skill beyond this? Because I like being busy, and that's what I was the EMT. I taught EMT. They hired the school that they go came and trained us. Like, we want to hire you. Like, let me go to my boss. Hey, can I do some moonlighting on the side? He's like, yeah, if you got time. So I literally was teaching EMT. I was like, I'm chemical,
Yeah.
but somehow,
Whatever.
so yeah, it worked out. You know, and again, I tell people it's all about the connections that you make.
Yeah,
You know,
I think there's a big thing. I've talked about this with other NCOs, like especially our job, right? Like right now, I told you I'm in an aviation unit. Obviously, I'm not wearing a white lab coat. Like
no,
I'm not doing that stuff.
that's not exist.
No, and it's like I'm mostly doing administrative things, planning S3 type stuff. For those that know, um, when you go, you can do two things. You can either one like kind of lay back and chill and do what they tell you, and it's gonna whatever. Or you can become like an asset and you figure out other stuff you can do, right? Where you learn a different job, or you say how can I insert myself into other stuff and help while not you don't want to be a kiss ass or anything, or like just do things for
But
the
what can I do? Right.
but be a contributor that way. Later on, like you have other skill sets, you have other things you can give people, like not even in the army, but like you said, you're doing public health stuff, you're doing EMT on the side. There's so many other things that make you viable. I think that's like a really that should be preached a lot more than it is. It's like a very, very strong thing to do.
Yeah. And you said something that's very uh profound when you said being a contributor. Every job that I've had, I've not necessarily liked the job, right? Nobody wants to sit and stuff.
The three shop's the best.
It is,
What are you talking about? It's the best.
but it's vital.
Yes.
It that is where you learn the operation of the army, and it's going to help you when you do have troops. It pays dividends. I tell people, do not knock your staff time. Don't think you're missing anything because you're not out on the line. You're not operational. That is what's going to make you a better platoon sergeant, a better first sergeant, and a better sergeant major because you understand all of the pieces and how they work together and what your little piece of the pie is, why it's important so that this big thing can happen. And like you said, being a contributor, broaden your skill set. Yeah, I joined the army. I went to basic training. I went to AIT to become a 74 Delta. This is what I do. If you look at, you pull up 600-25, the DACAM, this is what the 74 Delta does. Yes. However, you've been in the army long enough to know we are the utility player. We do everybody's job.
Yes.
And it pays off because you're reaching more than just that platoon and a chemical company. You're teaching there's a logistics officer that's learning from you. There's, a fires guy that's learning from you. There's protection. All of it tied together. You just got to put yourself out there and, like you said, be willing to not be the fly on the wall. And if anything, okay, I came here dumb. I'm leaving smart, and then I'm gonna spread this smartness everywhere because I'm gonna give everybody this knowledge. Don't be a gatekeeper of knowledge. I can't stand it.
I think that's why a lot of drills do good because they learn a lot of different things on the trail, and then even AIT platoon sergeants like all that, and then you go out and now you have a way more broader base of how you know operations, planning, all
Yeah,
that stuff. It
yeah.
feeds in a lot better.
It is every job you do is important. You may not like it, but every single one of them are important.
You may not like it. You're probably not gonna like it.
You're probably not
You're,
gonna like
you're
it.
probably not gonna like it.
I'm gonna be honest.
Yes,
Y'all know me.
yes.
I'm gonna tell you the truth. Yeah, this sucks. But how is this moving the army forward? And that's the ultimate goal.
You're at the Pentagon. You do your 3 years there, kind of a blur, but it was a good time. It was different. And then where do you go from there?
That's my team with the potato. Fort Leonard Woodson.
I already knew it. I already knew it.
573.
I just wanted to hear it.
In the middle of COVID.
In the middle of COVID.
In the middle of
I
COVID.
keep forgetting it was COVID. People tell me, I'm like, oh, you were a COVID. I'm like, oh yeah, that whole time. That was,
It was COVID.
and you went
You and I.
in the heat, right? Like you went in the heat of it, like 2019 or whatever. Yeah.
In the thick when the world came to a screeching halt.
Nuts.
And it was like, I got $720 training, not including the home doses.
Yeah.
I'm short on drill sergeant. I don't have XOs. I got one day on operations, and you want me to do what? Oh, by the way, we're taking the instructors from you.
Yeah.
Come again? You remember? So drill PT with mask on, like we're gonna run.
Yeah. The bus drivers would be like, if your soldiers don't wear a mask, they're not going to class. And you're like,
Like,
okay,
dang,
okay.
it was. And then the remember because uh yellow phase that come in the basic training, so you had the quarantine portion and you had the Q&I barriers you had to monitor. So we built up the bubble because we couldn't get people through cycles, and so then we had to do the trap class. And like you got 2 weeks to do a trap class. You got 180 jokes. I ain't got parent space. Don't get me started on the parent space.
Don't talk about barrack space. Don't talk about barrack space.
It's traumatic. It's traumatized. And it was chaos. It was chaos. I don't know. I look back at that time like how in the world did we either not end up in jail or somewhere in a dang old nursing home. Like, that was the trenches.
You did the battalion for 2 years or three because of COVID?
30 months.
30 months. For those that don't know, that's not a normal time. It's typically 2 years, sometimes even shorter.
Yes,
30 months is wild as a battalion sergeant major.
30 months.
Gosh.
And then
And then
congratulations.
see that office down there? Down the road? You, you're going right there.
You gotta clear though. It's a PCS, so you gotta go through 470. You're gonna clear, out process, and in process, and take one day of leave. Like literally, I think I changed out on that Friday. No, we had the dining out. I changed out the next day. Saturday, Sunday was my actual leave. Monday, like,
Oh my
who does this? And it was my wedding anniversary.
God. Oh, come on.
Like, why is it salty?
When I was there, it was I don't you were still sergeant major, but there was a day I had gotten a very heated argument with a first sergeant, and I was very upset, which I get a little upset, and we're walking out the doors like together to our cars, and my first sergeant was like, hey, Lake, you okay? After we had a giant argument, and I'm like, no, I'm not fucking okay. I had a shit day. Like, this is terrible. And he goes, I had a shit day too, Sergeant Lake. And I'm like, Roger, first sergeant. I keep walking, and then as I'm walking in my car, and this is like 2000, another drill sergeant yells at me. He goes, "Hey, Lake, tell your kid happy birthday for me," because it was my daughter's
Yes,
third birthday, and I'm like, and he goes, "Yeah, motherfucker, this,
this is what I'm talking about.
yeah, this is the shit." Oh man, see all the
We
stories.
had some times.
It,
We had some times,
you,
Roy.
you did. I want to go over that kind of. So you did the 30 months of that, and then you did. It was right at 2 years for brigade, right?
1 month shy.
What's
Actually, 18 days shy. They got it on the front end. Yeah. They got it on the front. It's like we know Bill.
yeah?
She like to do. We know what she trying to do. Well, we gonna get all of this time. Every ounce.
What
We gonna work.
was it kind of like when we talked about being AIT platoon sergeant, was it kind of like that where it went by really quick but it's vivid, or was it kind of a blur, or how did it go for you?
For both positions.
Well, were they extremely different, or were they pretty similar? Yeah. So how about battalion first?
Battalion, to me, battalion went by really, really slow. And I think it's because COVID forced us to be methodical and slow. Didn't really get into a rhythm until it was right as me time to go. Where it was we gotten into what a normal groove battle rhythm would be because of we got a new general order every day. That you can't go to Walmart. You know, um, you can't get a haircut.
The
So all the
rain.
men walking around looking, scruffy. No, you can't give bears haircuts. So it was that every day was a new day. It was like Groundhog Day, but not Groundhog Day. Um, but it was very vivid because I knew the stress that y'all were under, and I was trying my best to be an umbrella to protect you from. It was a lot of things up here that was happening that the command team was getting hammered on, but it was like we're trying to keep as much away from the drill sergeants as possible because what they're doing, well, when remember company drills went out with COVID. So when y'all got sick or when you had a family member get COVID, now we got to quarantine you, and that's taking somebody out of the fight. We were already undermanned, tremendously undermanned. Like we were barely hanging on. So it was, how do I mitigate some of these stresses? What can I protect them from? And then at the same time, balance being hated by the drill sergeants because it was like our managers, they're, but it wasn't my to come and show you, like, peel back the curtain, like this is all the crap you could be doing. That's not how leadership works. It's like you roll with the punches. You know that you're not. There are gonna be times where they absolutely can't stand you. As long as they respect you, you can make it through that. Then the challenges with personalities in the company.
I don't know why you're looking at me like that.
Mm. Mhm. Um,
Oh, that was
and then
definitely yeah.
so you had the personalities you're managing the task, you're managing the workload, and then you're managing the misconduct. So you just throwing this element in there. Now you got misconduct on top of that, cadre, and of course the training that's always something, and we can't get them out fast enough, and they become a problem, and it just so it was these compounding things that is like I just need to keep this thing on boat afloat and on this avenue. Some people gonna jump ship. That's expected. But we gotta keep this boat afloat and on this avenue. We have to stay on this path and ride through the storm. Because if we deviate left or right, we're gonna destroy the whole thing. Um, and that in itself was a challenge. And, you know, I didn't look at y'all as well, drill sergeants, they get over it. It's like, now their families are stressed the hell. I think every single one of y'all was like dealing with, a few of them, oh, dang old, freaking name, Arthur and his Dorito. Um, but y'all, life was life for y'all. and at the same time, um, guidance was murky at times. Like, what are your left and right limits? How do we navigate this? So it's protecting you while pushing you at the same time. And that was the biggest challenge to where every day I went home, I was exhausted, like from mental gymnastics. And pouring into, and that's something as a leader we don't think about. We're constantly pouring into others. The higher you get, there are less people pouring into you. So how do you fill your cup? And, there were a few times that it was just like, you know what? I don't think, I don't want to get up tomorrow
Oh
and go do
yeah. Oh yeah.
it. If I'm being honest, this is like days. It's like if I don't show up, what's the worst that can happen? Like these are the things that I'm thinking about. And then it's like, but if I don't show up, I'm letting down, you know, this drill sergeant, this training, this officer, this soldier, this NCO. Um, but while not getting a God complex, because some people do that. You need me. It's like, well, I need them just as much. 'Cause if I stay in this house, it's gonna be bad. And it really showed up when I got COVID the second time. It hit me really, really bad. Where, y'all were dropping, they were dropping soup off on my front porch, and like ringing the doorbell. That's why I made you food, because I was like, Lord, you about to take me out of here. Uh, what is I gonna do? Um, but it was that was a very unique time because it didn't follow the normal problems that you have in a unit, the normal that you are accustomed to. I know I'm gonna have this joke to do this. I know I'm good with that. Remember, I got this flow chart. There was no playbook.
Yeah, there's nothing to go off of for that type of situation at all. It's
We
a long.
literally were writing the playbook while, oh, we just encountered this new rule. And then asking y'all to be flexible and motivated. Like, you burn out. I know they burn.
I'm tired, boss.
I'm tired. No. Um, so that was the challenge there. But like I said, as we were coming out of COVID, I think I would hope that we kind of inserted some type of stability and predictability into things. It's like the front end was shit, but if I can leave a good blueprint for the next sergeant major to come in and kind of fall in on, that would be ideal. And that's and as a leader, you do that with every assignment. You go in thinking I want to get this, and none, and that shit goes out the window the first day. It's like Mike Tyson said, everybody got plenty that get punched in the mouth the very first day. So it's like, can I get this to a point, a good stopping point, and trust that I've done enough that the next person can come in and pick up where I left off and make it better.
I think that's the
Yeah.
goal for most when you go into a role now is like a really like I'm at that level a little bit, but I would say more like sergeant first class and above. It's usually your role is to I'm gonna whatever I get, I want to make it better. Never want to leave
Right.
it worse. You want to make things a little better than what you found. And I think you obviously did. I mean, there was a very nice legacy when you left. Like it was things were getting better. They were running a little smoother.
Mhm.
And obviously new changes come around, especially in the past 4 years with all the stuff that was going on between
Yeah.
COVID and then a lot of other administrative things. It was just
Right.
this topsy turvy. You do the best you can. What about when you get up to brigade? Like what's that like? Because you now for those that don't know, she's a brigade sergeant major for Third Chem Brigade. Whatever it says there, but it's all the basic training companies or basic training battalions and um, the chem unit.
I see in the school and all the functional course.
All of them fall under Third Chem. It's probably one of the biggest. Technically, I would say it's one of the
Biggest.
like brigade. It's
Mhm.
huge.
And it has the most diverse mission set.
Yeah, yeah. There's like because what you just said. There's so many different things going on. How was that?
So being a brigade sergeant major is very different. As a battalion sergeant major, you're leading first sergeant. They are your subordinates. As a brigade sergeant major, your lead sergeant major, they are your peers. Essentially, your peers. So what I could do as a battalion sergeant major, the first sergeant come to my office, and I feel like I'm a very open, I'm open to ideas. I'm a very collaborative person. First sergeant pitches this, but I have knowledge that the first sergeant doesn't have. It's not saying I'm smart, it's because, there's certain information that I have that just subordinate units don't have. It's the same at brigade and division, so on and so forth. So they come, but I know a piece and I can look at first sergeant and say, I appreciate your input, but this is what we're going to do. And that's the end of that conversation, right? I don't necessarily owe that first sergeant any more of an explanation than I've just given. It's very different with a sergeant major, right? Because you have to respect that, yes, they are a battalion sergeant major and I'm a brigade sergeant major, but they're still a sergeant major. And they have their own part with your level of experience, or even in some cases more. So it's vital to build a coalition and get that input and the exchange of ideas while establishing firmly that understand I am taking your input. It is valuable, and a lot of it I may incorporate or include in this plan or this decision that the brief that we're going to give pitch to the brigade commander. However, you are still a battalion sergeant. It's one thing to do that as a brigade CSM, having battalion CSM. Is totally something different when you are a brigade CSM, maneuver support, and 3 of your 4 are maneuver who have not necessarily worked with female leaders on
Yeah.
a day-to-day basis in the past. So it's a whole different level of team building and understanding. And this is I think what helped me be successful, because I think I was successful. What helped me be successful was going back to all those other jobs that I did that were not directly related to SEMA. My second deployment, I was a squad leader. They moved me to a platoon sergeant and attached me to an infantry company. That experience was valuable because I understood the language, I understood maneuver, I understood tactics. I was able to talk their language. In G shots, I was working with my G3 star major was an infantryman. So all of that experience came in because now I'm not somebody coming in that doesn't understand your language. You don't understand my language. We actually have very similar experiences, though we are totally different MOSs. And I think that helped to bridge that gap. Like, okay, your credibility is there because credibility really matters. Um, and it takes about a good 6 months to build respect and that trust because I'm 11 Bravo. I've been doing 11 Bravo stuff for dang on 25 years. What
Yeah.
and that's just the reality of it. So once you build that trust and they understand that, one, you know what you're talking about. Two, you're going to make the decisions that are not just best for the organization, but with the members of the organization in mind. And three, you're not going to BS me. You're not going to blow smoke up my ass. You're not going to, piss on my head and tell me it's raining. You're going to give me the no bullshit. I hear you, but that's not what we're going to do. They understand and to build when it's time for you to shut up and color, you're in receive mode, establishing that while still maintaining the relationship. Because sometimes you gotta be that way. And I think that's important, laying that groundwork. Like you can't do anything without trust. First unit of assignment to your last unit of assignment. If people don't trust you,
Can't do shit really.
you
Like,
can't do anything. You're not you may have short term wins, but you will not have long term successes. And it's about the long term success because somebody's gonna come and sit in your seat and you're gonna move on and you want that string of success so that it's easy when that new leader comes in and then you have responsibility to sell the new leader to the people that you're getting ready to lead because they ain't got the 6 months.
yeah.
You know,
I th-
that was the biggest challenge.
trust it. I, I like that. I think people get trust confused sometimes where they think trust is like I could tell this person any of my secrets or whatever and I can tell. That's not what trust is really, especially in the Army. Trust is that that person can do their job well, or I can rely on them to accomplish something when I tell them to. Like,
Yes.
it is so critical because it builds your reputation to get shit done and then rely on others. Like, if you need to go ask somebody something or whatever, like that is so critical to building that reputation of having everyone, whether they're infantry, pilot, whatever, they can trust you. That is, yeah, that's very, very important.
That is, you just hit a point that I will tell you no sergeant major on Fort Leonard Wood would be successful without trust between each other. And I could just use my time as example. All three brigades changed out around the same time. So you had the three brigade sergeant major and the garrison sergeant major disappeared. And the garrison sergeant major straight up told me, because he was there for a period of time before I got there. He's like, I didn't want to have anything to do with 13th. He said straight up, I didn't want to have anything to do with your organization because of some bad interactions and some things that happened before I got there. Um, so coming in, I knew the importance of relationships. And when I tell you the relationship that was built between the garrison sergeant major, the three brigades, the hospital sergeant major, the DES sergeant major, so many, and between the threes, so the operations sergeant majors in each respective organization, there are so many things that I can say third Tim didn't get good for, simply based on relationship. Where we dropped the ball here, a phone call to one of the other brigade level sergeant majors, I need help, this XYZ. From housing to you name it, to tasks, to gate guard. And it was the same for them where man, we messed this up, or we can't do this because of XYZ. Hey, Bill, can you square me away? And you have to weigh it. Again, these are things that your lower echelons, your companies, your don't necessarily know, that decisions that we are weighing, can I support this and get return on this investment? Is it possible? So you're weighing how much will this impact? I need the least amount of impact, but the most amount of return.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how business is done. So if people get mad, well, I don't understand why we doing this. You're right, you don't. But what you don't realize is this big tasker that we're supposed to do, this unit is taking it because we're helping them out in this small way.
Yeah.
And it's a constant trade-off. It's a constant trade-off. So I think that's important where you highlighted that trust. And that's really what it was built on. You know, I'm short, uh, I had two drill sergeants inbound to me, and one drill sergeant getting diverted is crisis. I had 9 diverted at one time. 9 in 1 month of games. I was like, not, these sergeants gonna come up here and burn this brigade down. And literally it was a phone call to the 2A brigade. Can I get borrowed manpower for 60 days? Because the drill sergeants that were inbound here got diverted to Jackson or to Seal or to Denver. If I don't do this, I'm gonna have 5 people on the range during dang on RM1, and we gonna get shut down. So it's important that trust, like you said, it goes beyond. It got nothing to do with your secret. You trust me to chew your ass and give you good advice. You ain't gonna like it, but I got your best interest at heart.
Yes.
So, you might have a personal story or two about that.
Don't worry about that. Sorry. You can tell if you want. I don't care.
No,
Huh.
I wanted great things for you. I really wanted you to get that assignment, those couple assignments that came down.
Yeah, they didn't work out, but
That didn't
at
work
least
out, but
at least it tried. Yeah, it was cool. It was a cool thing, and it's something I can. I don't I don't ever talk about it much, but then people bring up now in other units about it. They go, I heard there's gigs up there, and I go, yeah, there's really cool ones about this, blah blah blah. And they're like, holy shit! I'm like, yeah, didn't get it, but it's a really cool gig.
right.
So speaking of that, okay, so you get done with your brigade time. finally.
Mhm.
Out of trade off. And then we're here now.
We're here now.
Where are we going? Ditra. Oh man. For those that don't know, I can explain it. Hair. It's Defense Threat
I can't.
Reduction Agency, and they kind of do a lot of shit, and it's a little more secretive, and it's a lot of civilians. It's civilian heavy, right?
Yeah, this thing run organization.
Yeah, and it's a cool ass gig. And can you talk about that a little bit, or?
No, yeah. So it's all I know is they keep calling me it's like Ringy calling me. Um, it's operations and integration, and they do a lot of things with the special forces community.
Yeah.
Um,
Are you excited for that?
I am. I'm excited for two reasons. Way back in 1999, back in the late 1900s, for the people who, yeah, oh, uh, so
Oh, Prince.
I was on Johnston Island, and I had come off of the downrange mission. I was working in the ops, so I was the one that was running the mission from the operations cell. You know, tell them when to open, clear, all of the things, running the eye in the sky. My platoon sergeant came to Johnston Island from Detroit. So that's the first time I'd ever heard about it. Danny Casillas. And he told me about it, and I was like, I would love to work there. That's the first time and the only time I ever talked about Detroit until when I was at the Pentagon. I had one of my NCOs. She left there and went to Detroit with her following assignment. Um, and so it always been back from 1999. I was like, I would love to get a gig at Detroit. It never worked out. I was like, well, I guess it's not meant to be. Lo and behold, I'm nearing the end of my brigade time, and the nom listens out, and all of it. You got to do all of these things. My name gets put in the hat. I interview for the job, and I get it. Prior to that, when I took the brigade, I got an email from Danny Castillo, who said, "Is this the same Kiana Bell that was on Johnson Island in 1999? I remember you. If so, I knew that there would be great things. Like there was this whole beautiful
Oh,
email. I saw a lot of potential, and I knew you were going to be great things. I'm proud of you, so on and so forth." And I responded back, "Yes, it's the same one that you ran like dang on all around that island because he was a runner." I was like, "It's only 2 miles long. How are we running 10 miles?" Uh, a lot of circles. Um, so I emailed them back, and then I get the job at Detroit. And the shooter inspectors, they come and all of this stuff, and they said, "Hey, Sergeant Major, Danny wanted to pass on his congratulations." And it was such a full circle moment. It's like I get to end my career at the one assignment that I always wanted that didn't get. I had cool assignments, but that's the one I was like, that would be sweet. And I get to end it where I want to end it, back on the East Coast within a couple hours of each of my kids. And I was like, I mean, it don't get no better than that. So I guess, doing all of the things, this is my reward. So I'm excited about it.
that's awesome. That's such a full circle, like you said, full circle moment. Like that is badass. Are you happy too? Because like you said, your kids are going to be around more and stuff. You get a little more. I'm sure while it'll be busy, it will nowhere near be what you had. Or
Right.
like I'm sure that's all going to be like really nice. And then obviously you're going to end there. Um, do you plan on still working after, or are you gonna kind of?
Oh yeah, if I don't work, I'm gonna become a menace to society. I will be a menace to society. I know me. So no, yeah, I plan on working, and like you said, it sets me. I'm in fertile ground
Yes.
to do whatever it is that I want to do after I retire, whether I want to go into the private sector, whether I want to contract, whether I want to go back into the government sector, where I want to buy me 5 acres of land and get me some goats, chickens, and horses, whether I always told you I want. I'm positioning myself to be able to have those options. And uh, when I tell you I'm grateful for that, it is not lost on me the enormity of things that had to take place for me to get to this moment in time. Um, and so it makes it like, oh, well, I guess it was all worth it. And again, it gives me the perspective of every job that I did led to this point. because I had knowledge of this, because I did this, I dabbled in that, I worked in maintenance, I can, I have not just, hi, I'm a sergeant major, I'm Kiana, I'm a sergeant major, and I have leadership experience. But here's my resume. I've checked all of these blocks, though they weren't me deliberately checking them because the Army said, go do. Okay, sure. So, it's kind of serendipitous how I didn't want to go to any of the assignments that they said. But every single one of them led to this moment. So you have to, and for me, I have to express gratitude for getting to this. Like, that's a chill. I don't won't have to stand in front of a formation. It's just people feel like it's like that wears on you,
Yeah.
especially at my age. Yeah, I got to get out there and tell these 18-year-olds I can do it. And
Yeah.
in my mind, I'm like, Lord,
Yeah.
I, I got a pregame with dang on meloxicam and Tylenol. Just so my joints will work. She walk away like, yeah, so this easy. Get in my car like, man, life.
Just,
So
you're standing out there, just like it hurts. It hurts so
it hurts
bad.
so bad. It's so
Yeah.
cold.
Yes.
So I made them cold. It ain't cold.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm dying inside. Like these thin dang on, yeah, all of those things. But it got to a point where it's like, I'm not finna damn bullshit y'all. Listen,
Yeah.
this sucks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just, just shut up, okay?
Okay.
We
It
get
sucks.
it.
We get it. It is -2. I know this. We can't do reverse cycle. I got it. We're doing PT in the barracks. Yes, it's so sad. I don't want to be here either. God dang. But yeah.
What? Yeah. It's we can end it there. That was not it wasn't a it was a great story of where you came from to where you are now, because that is like such a from those humble beginnings to now. But the the little stuff we talked about, like that, like people talk about the big topic right now is LPDs at my work. And like I think LPDs happen like that, where you have these conversations and things come out where you learn things about each other and experiences. And that's what you did. You basically gave like a lot of stuff on from resiliency to knowing when to act to working through problem solving and stuff. It was amazing. So I thank you so much for coming on here and for providing insight to others for like how to deal with
I
shit.
am so appreciative that you invited me on here. I was like, heck yeah.
Oh yeah, I am not you. I,
Whoop it up.
yeah, I got you on. Yeah,
Yeah. That's awesome.
thank you so much for coming on here. And it'll be out in a while, but everyone needs to take note of what she's doing. And I think if you want me to plug it, I think you have like a little blog you started right on Instagram.
Yeah. I'm working on that. Kind of like I'm taking all of my sayings, I got a bunch of them.
Yeah,
And they're like anecdotes behind it, and it's just like humanizing the position. Like I'm a real person that, and all of us leaders are, and kind of becoming accessible through sharing of my experience. Yeah.
yeah. It's and that's what people need is to be able to understand that yes, people have the uniform on, that doesn't define them, but like the experiences, like that is the glory in it. That is the cool part. That is what makes people people. Not necessarily that it's
Right.
military, but it was experiences.
Yes, absolutely. I won't give anything for mine.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you guys. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
All right.